Hi everyone, Dead Battery here, and thank you for joining me on my channel. Today's video is going to be on the Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. One of my coworkers brought me two of their controllers. One was his and one was his wife's. And both had drift, but on opposite ends. One was drift on the right side and one was drift on the left side. I talked to him a little bit and let him know that stick drift is usually not an easy fix. Most people end up buying new controllers, but I could always give them a cleaning and see if that was the issue. And if the cleaning didn't work, give him some other options to see which way he'd like to go. So let's test these controllers out, see how bad the drift is. Let's give him a good cleaning and see what we come up with in the end. Here are both of the Switch controllers, but I am going to run them through the hardware tester. And you just plug the controllers into your computer, hit a button, and then it registers that it's connected. And now you can go through and test all the different buttons. This is the one that has the drift on the right side, and it's definitely more prominent. You can see it right away, and it just stays there, and it doesn't really want to correct itself. Here is the second controller, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through, tap all the buttons, make sure everything else is working. This is the one with the drift on the left-hand side, and it's an interesting one where if I actually hit the button, it goes back. But if I just barely tap it, then it gets stuck there. So I'm not too sure what's going on with this one. Maybe something's broken, but it's so slight. Everything else on it seems to be in working condition. Now that I know what they look like before, let's go ahead and take them apart. To get the Switch Pro controllers apart, there are two screws on the bottom of the handles. They're longer and they're black ones. Once those are removed, you can just grip the handle and pull and they'll lift right off. The next thing that you'll remove is the back plate that is the smoky black color. It says Nintendo and it covers the battery. There are 4 Phillips head screws. They are silver. So make sure that you're keeping all your screws separately because they are different. Once all those screws are out, I'm using my triangle pry tool to lift it off. And as I'm doing it, I notice some finger jam kind of fall out. So I decide maybe it's a smart idea to put some gloves on. So I'm gonna put my rubber gloves on just so I don't get all the dirt on my hands. Now that that's off, you can see where the battery is and you can just pop the battery out. To take the rest of it apart, there are 5 screws. They are black. The first 3 are easy to get to. There's one on each side and then one on the bottom middle. The issue is the last 2 that are above the battery area. They are a lot deeper in there, and my iFixit screwdriver does not go that far, and neither does my extension. And I've had this issue before. Let me know in the comments what you all do, but I have some spare random tools that I've borrowed from my husband. I have this really long flathead screwdriver. It's not the best, but it fits in there and it gets those screws out. Now that those screws are out, you can get a pry tool in between the handles and loosen a little bit, but don't just rip it off. You do have to get the thumbsticks through their holes, and then there's also a ribbon attached on the inside. At the moment, I'm just going to worry about the bottom half, and I'm going to use some WD-40, the contact cleaner, to spray in each of these areas, move them around, brush them off, just to get into all these areas, move them around, and see if maybe there's some gunk or something trapped in there. Once I feel like it's clean, I can go ahead and put it back together. I'm not going to fully put it back together. I just want to put it back together enough to be able to test it. So let's plug it into the hardware tester again. And I'm a little surprised by this. This controller was the one that had the heavy drift on the right. And from what I can tell, hitting all the buttons and moving the joysticks, that it doesn't have drift anymore. So maybe this could just be one of the random ones that got dirty, got something trapped in it, and wasn't working properly. And they have this button that you can test the circular motion of it. I'm not too sure what it does. It gives you an error. Let me know in the comments if you know what this means. I don't, but I thought it'd be neat to show. I am definitely shocked, but sometimes this is the case. Things can get trapped inside. It's not a big deal, but it is a good idea to clean your controllers every so often. So now I'm just going to go through and clean it up. So to remove the rest of the top so that you can get to the buttons, there are 2 more screws that hold the left and right trigger buttons at the top onto the rest of it. Once those are removed, you just need to detach the ribbon and it just lifts off all into one part. To get the buttons out, there are 2 more screws, one on each side. I didn't see the second one, but it's kind of hidden underneath the ribbon. Once you lift that motherboard off, then you get to all of the buttons. So I'm just going to use my isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to go through and clean everything off, dry everything off. And then putting everything back together is not difficult. Like a lot of controllers, they do mark each of the buttons a different way so that they only fit in those spots and there's no way to change where they go. I can clean the left and right triggers. Now you can take this apart more. I'm not going to. I'm just going to clean it from here. And then I can put that all back together with its 2 screws and then attach the ribbon. Besides what I already did to the bottom half, I'm not going to take that motherboard out. I'm just going to spray it off. I'm going to scrub all the edges to get any of the finger jam that's trapped and just make sure it looks good overall. Once I clean it up, now I can put it all back together. And the first thing you're gonna have to do is obviously attach the ribbon on the inside. It is a little weird to get it because it's such a cramped area. So just make sure you line it up properly. Now I can close it up and you just have to line up the joysticks. They are a little tight to get through, but just have to push down a little bit. Now that it's back together, you can just work in reverse with your screws. And then I can put the battery back in. And then the smoky cover that goes over top. And those take the 4 silver screws. And then you can slide the handle covers on and the screws that hold them in place. I'm not going to bore you with all of the taking apart since we already did the first one. I can put it back together just to test it. And here's the results for this one. And right now it looks pretty good. I'm hitting all the buttons, nothing's really bad until I get to the left joystick. And I move it and it's fine, but then I just do that slight little tap again and it's still stuck. This one was not fixed by cleaning it. I barely moved it. So I'm wondering if something is just broken that it makes it so loose. So this one was not fixed. So unfortunately, out of the two, it looks like we only got one fixed. Now, I do need to give it back to him and have him test it on games he was playing to see if it is fixed or not. I don't know which one's which, if it's his wife's or if it's his, but I'll let him have it back so he can test it and see, and then get back to me. So I'll let you know later on what the update is and if it's still working. As far as the one for the left joystick that's not working, I did let him know there are some options out there. And let me know in the comments which one you think I should take. We're going to decide together. The option is to not do anything with it and just use it as parts. The second option is to remove that joystick, the whole assembly, and put a new one in. And I found out that there are solder iron tips that are for joystick removal, and honestly I'm slightly excited about it and kind of want to go that route so that I can use the tool. Not that I need any more tools, but you have to admit that's pretty awesome. Now the third option is I did find this company called Helder's Game Tech, and they have this thing called an analog stick drift. And it's something that you solder inside of controllers and you just have to zero it out. Now, in the long run, that doesn't necessarily fix the drift, because if it drifts again, you have to open it all back. You have to plug it into some kind of game tester and then re-zero out the dot. It does look like it's intriguing. It would be fun to do, but I don't know for his controller if this is the best call. Let me know in the comments once again which one you think I should go with. I am kind of leaning towards getting a new solder iron tip because it'll be fun to try something new. I do believe this controller is one of the easier ones I have taken apart. There was no question to me on how it came apart. There's definitely been other controllers in the PlayStation and the Xbox verse, and I'm not knocking them, but I got really confused or couldn't quite figure out what the next step was to take it apart. Let me know if you've taken your controllers apart and given them a good scrub down. In the end, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we at least got one working, or let's hope is actually working, and that I have options to try something out on the other one. As always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!